So many of y'all out there are struggling to raise capital because you need to raise capital. You need to raise capital. People feel that need and it is repulsive. You don't need to do anything. They need to invest in your deals. And if you don't believe that, man, then that's step number one. Reverse, go clear to the back and remind yourself that you're not begging for money. You are presenting opportunities to people that are massively beneficial. What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the show, man. I have a question for you. Do you struggle raising capital for your real estate deals? I would imagine that you probably do, because it is the most sought after skill in this business, because it is one of the most challenging parts of the business. Not because it's actually challenging, but because people don't know how to do it. Real quick before we dive into it, let me reintroduce myself, man. Tyler Devereaux. I am the managing partner, co-founder of the Multifamily Capital Partners. That is our multifamily acquisitions company that owns $400+ million of real estate, and we have raised well over $100 million in investor capital. That doesn't happen by accident, that happens by design. Today I'm gonna walk you through some of those frameworks that we use here at the Multifamily Capital Partners, man, to attract investors, build trust with investors, and raise capital from investors. What's interesting, man, is a lot of people will be like, man, of course you raise a lot of capital. You talk to high net worth individuals about good, amazing real estate deals. But listen, a lot of people do that. We just raise more capital than the far majority, and you'll see why as we dive deeper into this. So first, man, what holds a lot of people back is that they feel like they have to know everything about the business. The more that you know, the more that you realize you don't know. So I'm just gonna tell you, if you're waiting until you know it all, you'll never, ever start raising capital for real estate. Most of the investor conversations I have are a result of literally just talking about what I do. Man, I was working on this deal and it didn't pan out, or man, we just closed this deal, or that's it. You need to talk about what you're doing and how you're doing it. If you're currently learning the business, talk about what you're currently learning. I'll tell you, one of the biggest hacks for me personally is once I learn something, I immediately go and I'll try to regurgitate it. I'll talk about it with somebody within my office. I'll talk about it with, to Britt and the kids, because the more I talk about it, the more that I can internalize and understand the topic. And naturally, as you're doing that, people will ask you deeper questions of what that is and how you're doing what you're doing. So have conversations. Question number one that I get asked all the time is, how do I find, or where do I find potential investors? And the answer to that is have conversations. Man, I have had conversations at my kids' sporting events, at my kids' school events, at tailgates that I've been to, on planes, at the gym, in line at Starbucks. Like, literally, I could name and riff tons of different ways that I've been able to have these conversations by just regular everyday occurrences. I got diagnosed with melanoma, I don't know, a few years ago. So I have to go in for skin checks every now and then. If you've ever done that, man, it is an intrusive process. So I have this new doctor. I'm laying on the table, butt naked on the table is what happens. And there's a lady doctor and her intern, who's also a lady, luckiest damn ladies on the planet. And she asked me what I do. Very uncomfortable, trying to break the ice. She asked me what I do, and I'm laying on the table and I go through my basic elevator pitch of what I do. And she's like, you mean like syndications? And I'm like, I turn around, I'm like, you know what syndications are? Because most people don't even know what that word means, and which is what we do. We acquire real estate with investors together. It's called a syndication. And she says, yeah, man, I've been exploring different opportunities. I just haven't found an investing group that I'm comfortable with. So I grabbed my wallet, which is on this tray in front of me, grabbed my card and said, well, shit, you've seen every square inch of me. You should be comfortable. Now, you have conversations, investors will come out of the freaking woodworks to invest with you. Question number two that people ask me all the time is like, how do you start the conversation? What do you say in the conversation? Like I said earlier, I mean, just have conversations. So what the goal that you're trying to get to is you want people to ask you what you do. The way you do that is you ask them questions. People's favorite topic to talk about is themselves. And so what I'll do is, instead of going in and telling them what I'm doing, dude, I just ask them questions about what they're doing. And guess what will naturally happen? They will naturally ask you, what do you do? What have you been up to? And then you start talking into a natural progression into what you do. Here's the framework that I follow though, okay? Because it's a 5-step framework that I follow with these investor conversations. Number one, what I try to do is identify some problems that they may be having currently in the market. Maybe they're struggling to find deals to invest in. Inflation or rising interest rates or the market volatility, stock market, all these things, these problems, these concerns that they're gonna have. I try to identify them up front, obviously before I'm even having this conversation. Then number two is I wanna have potential solutions to those problems and talk to the potential solutions of those problems. Man, hedge against inflation, tax benefits, consistent, reliable cash flow, hard asset. I'm gonna talk about these things that are solutions to the problems that they may currently be facing. Number three, and this is a big one because a lot of people, especially when they're new, is what I've realized is they try to sound very, very super intelligent. Like they use big words, they just try to come off. Dude, don't do that. Keep it very basic. In my mind, how I think of it is a short children's story. I want them to know what I do and how it will make their life better. Story format, very simple, no crazy words, just very, 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 very basic. Number four is you have to have a call to action. Now, what I mean by a call to action is just some way to engage. Have you ever had a conversation with someone where you're asking them questions, but they don't ever reciprocate back with a question? It's excruciating. Your investors, these people you're talking to, have had those same experiences. And so if they ask you what you do, you tell them what you do, and then you just sit there like this, they will not know how to continue to engage. A call to action is simply a follow-up question. Hey, this is what I do. What do you do? Have you ever done something like that before? Do you invest in real estate? Once again, man, just break it down. And then number five, you should practice this thing all the time. I get on private money presentations. I get on webinars. I jump on, social media and scroll through to see how people are talking about what they do. And then what I do, once again, is go and talk about what I do. And I'll be like, man, I like how they explained this, or I didn't like how they explained that. I'll take the things that I do and that I do like, and I'll go explain those things. That's what you're gonna do. Probably my number one go-to when it comes to like an elevator pitch, if you will. First off, what you need to do is start this conversation so it can be very short, very simple. So somebody asked me what I do. Did I buy apartment buildings with investors? So suppose that you have some money that you wanna put to work, you wanna invest in real estate, but you don't know how to do that. Well, my company and I, we do all that for you. We would take your money, partner with our money, other people's money, and people like yourself can own apartment buildings without having to deal with all the hassle that comes with an apartment building. We deal with the hassle for you. If you ever invested in anything like that before, boom. Simple, basic process of a conversation of telling them what I do, telling them how it will benefit them, identifying some problems that they have, solutions to them, and wrapping it up with a follow-up question. Now let's say you're scheduling a call with an investor or a true actual sit down. I follow a basic framework on the sit down. It's different than my elevator pitch to gain interest. It's a true, like I'm walking through a call. The framework that I use is this. Number one, I want to do some research about them before I call. And now maybe you've had a conversation with them. Maybe you already know a little bit about that. So that part may be easy. If not though, do research. That's number one. Because you want to know these things about these people so you can drop these things. Really show interest in other people. That's what it is. That's your step one. Number two, I'm gonna pre-frame the call. Have you ever been on a phone call that's taken forever and got nowhere? So do I, and so have I, and it's my absolute number one pet peeve if I'm with any phone call I'm ever on, man. I wanna be quick and to the point. Some people wanna chat with you forever, and I'm not that person. And a lot of people that have money are too busy to also be that person. So I pre-frame it, and how I do that is this. Jump on the call, hey, great, how are you? Niceties, whatever you go through. And then I'm gonna be like, hey man, I have another call in 15, 30, whatever, however many minutes, 15, 30 minutes. Usually that first call, hardly ever more than 30 minutes. Real quick, I have another call in about 30 minutes, so if it's okay, can we just jump right in? They're gonna say yes, and then we're gonna jump into the call. I also outline how the call is gonna go. So hey man, if you don't mind, I would love to hear a little bit about your investment background, what you've currently invested in, why you're looking to invest in different things like apartment buildings, and then I can give you a little bit about our investment background, what we focus on, and then we can kind of riff a little bit with any questions that you may have from there. What this shows is you've now taken this investor who you're jumping on a phone call with, and this fast in the beginning, you have shown them, hey, I know what I'm doing on this phone call. You're gonna go, then I'm gonna go, and then man, we can go. Why do we want them to go first? It's because the last thing that I'm gonna do is schedule a call with somebody and just talk about myself the whole time. I wanna give them the opportunity to tell me about them. And as they're doing that, I'm writing notes, man. I'm taking notes and I'm letting them know. I tell them, especially if it's like a Zoom call or something, I'll be like, hey, I'm taking notes. Just so you know, I'm very present here. I'm taking notes though. If you see me looking down, it's not because I'm not present, it's because I'm locked in here and I want to remember what we talked about. Me, I'm very visual. I have to remember it that way. I don't remember it audibly very good. So I take notes. Then you listen intently That is an active thing, not a passive thing. You need to let them know that you're listening. You do that by simple things, man. Repeating something that they just said. Okay, so you've invested in, your 401k, your IRA, but you've never branched into alternative investments like multifamily. Cool, whatever. Repeat something that they have told you about. It shows that you're listening. Even just simple, hey, sorry, I missed that. What'd you say? Those things all show that you're actively listening and present in the conversation. And that will go, man, such a long way for you. This framework that I walked through, okay? 1, show interest, do some research about them. 2, pre-frame the call and what you're going to structure. And then 3 is the sales framework, okay? Now, I'm not gonna go into the sales framework on this video. I have another video that we've walked through that whole framework. We'll put that link in the description here. You can click on that to get the whole framework. The last thing that I do though is it's a call to action. Like I give them an assignment. I'm going to ask them to send me an email. I'm gonna ask them to do something that is pertinent to the call that we've had. Because what I want them to do is continue this process of taking action. So I'm gonna ask them to send me an email. Let's go with that route. Once they send me an email, I'm gonna reply back with a positive label. Something like, hey, thank you so much for following through. Thank you so much for being so responsive. The reason this is powerful is human psychology, man. I have given them a positive label, and that is a positive label that they believe in and want to live in accordance to. So now they're gonna continue or want to be continually responsive throughout the process, and that will help you. The last step of the framework, man, is I wanna be the one that ends the call. It's one way that we can frame the call. Once again, I wanna end it. I wanna be like, hey, thanks so much, man. It was great chatting with you. If you'll do X, Y, Z, that would be great. I'll get it back to you as well. Now, boom, peace. Live always with aloha, right? I don't say that, but I would, maybe. Maybe I'll start ending my phone calls with live always with aloha. But I just end the call. Once again, it shows that you're not desperate. So many of y'all out there are struggling to raise capital because you need to raise capital. You need to raise capital. People feel that need and it is repulsive. You don't need to do anything. They need to invest in your deals. And if you don't believe that, man, then that's step number 1. Reverse, go clear to the back and remind yourself that you're not begging for money. You are presenting opportunities to people that are massively beneficial. One more thing I'll say in lines with this. You do not have to stress about knowing everything or saying the right thing. What I do is before I go into these investor calls, I will literally write. I told you I take notes. So at the top of wherever I'm taking my notes, I use Evernote. At the top of that, I will write my intention for the call. My intention for the call is never to get them to invest. That would be awesome if they invest. I would love them to invest. But really what I want them to do is I want them to invest their hard-earned money in the place that they feel best for them to invest their hard-earned money. If that's with me, that's great. If they believe that another avenue is better for them, I mean, man, that's great too. My intention is to help them. So I want to help these individuals create passive income, generational wealth for them and their families, their futures, whatever the intention is. A lot of times that's in line with the research that I've done and the goals that I know they may have. And now I go in with that intention. People will feel your intention far more than they hear what you say. So if your intention is pure when you go into that call, you don't have to worry about saying all the right things because your intention is to help them, not to be impressive. It's to impress upon them that you actually care about them. Another problem that people have and questions that I get is like, okay, man, so I've had this initial conversation. I've sent them the information that we've said we're gonna send. When do I reply back? Like, when do I follow up? I don't wanna be too pushy. When do I follow back up? First off, you should set that on the call that you're having. When I'm ending the call, this call to action that I'm giving them is, okay, I'm gonna send you this, a property packet, a video, whatever it is that I'm sending them, and then I'm gonna outline it. It usually takes people, I don't know, an hour to review, maybe tops, maybe half hour. If I gave you a day or two, would that give you enough time to review? Now, this is critical though. You're going to ask them, like literally set a date. Okay, so let's pretend it's Monday. Okay, so it's Monday, so I'm going to follow up with you. Let's see, let's do Wednesday at 4. Does Wednesday at 4 work? Yes, okay, so I'm gonna send you a calendar invite for Wednesday at 4. If you'll do me a favor, reply back, just let me know you got it. Just make sure that it's off my mind, we're good to go. Sound good? Will you do that for me? They say yes. Will you do that for me? Like literally that statement right there. They say yes, they are far more likely to actually follow through with that. If they ghost me on that call or on that scheduled call, I'm not gonna worry about being pushy. I'm gonna send them a text and be like, what the actual fuck? Just kidding, I won't say that. I'll be like, hey man, I missed you on the call today. Once again, man, We're gonna meet here. I would love to meet you again. I don't have any more times. I'm not gonna jump right on the call with them immediately. I'm gonna be like, hey man, I don't have any more time until this date at this time. Does that work? So how are you framing yourself? You're that person that is at their beck and call at any given moment? If so, you're needy. You're too damn needy. What's your schedule? What are you doing? How can you fit them in? Yes, we wanna be cordial. Yes, you wanna be accommodating to them, but man, don't be so damn needy. So when should you follow up? I'll tell you right now that your lack of follow-up will cost you way more deals than anything that you ever say on there. People bring me deals to invest in all the time. You know who I invest with? People who follow up. I'm busy. I forget to get back to people. It's not that I'm not interested, but that's the story they tell themselves. Oh man, he must not be interested. Oh man, he must not be. That's the story you've been telling yourself with your investors. That's why you're not following up. Are you following up because you're desperate, or are you following up because you actually want to help this person put their money to work so that they don't have to always work so hard for their money? If that is your intention, follow up every day, man. Send them a message and say, quit around, get on the phone call, let's go. All right, my friends, that is my initial process with investors, the initial framework that I walk through with an elevator pitch, the initial framework with my call that I have with these individuals. If you would like me to go deeper onto any of these other topics, or you have questions on what we covered, something that you don't feel like I clarified enough, or you just need some more clarification on, man, hit me up in the comments, let me know. More than willing to create some videos specifically to those questions that you have, which by the way is how we created this video here. Y'all submitted questions that you had. We created this. I hope you found some value from it. So as always, leave a comment. Let me know that it was valuable or that it was shitty, whatever you would like to do. Click that subscribe button, click the notification so you can see and know when we drop videos. I'm dropping these videos every Tuesday and every Friday. Detailed videos for you and your futures, man, every Tuesday, every Friday. So make sure that you, once again, subscribe, click the notification so you can stay informed. And then I drop content on my Instagram page every single day. So go to Instagram, click Tyler_Devereaux, click the follow, send me a message to let me know that this video sent you there. And then once again, man, live always with aloha. Peace.